right now, Joe DeRosa shared, John Scott tweeting, Tremaine Edmonds, Greg Rousseau, and Tre'Davious White have been ruled out for the game against the Browns. I actually expected that all along. None of that surprises me at all. I will say that is probably going to piss off a lot of people about Tre'Davious White, and I think that's unfair, and I'm going to battle back against everyone that's going to attack him this weekend. So prepare for that.
Yeah, we're not here for the Tre'Davious White slander. Like, that guy can take his time getting back. We'll be here waiting for him.
I wouldn't even be surprised. I'm sorry, Chris. I was just going to say, wouldn't be surprised if they had December in mind all along.
I agree. Yeah. We got to be real serious here about the conversations we have about injuries. And just because we've had guys beat what is traditionally the case for an injury and come back, that doesn't mean it's normal. That doesn't mean that that's the preferred way to handle things when you can. Get him back when he's ready. And there is a mental aspect to it. Like, you can be physically cleared for injury if you are not, as a athlete. These guys are like Lamborghinis and Ferraris and F1 cars. And the drivers get in an F1 car, and if there's some little gasket off, they can feel it, right? They can tell it. And if he's not fully there and ready to play at the closest levels to where he feels comfortable in that Ferrari, I don't want him there till he's there, right? And we have time. I've been talking about it all week. We have time to get the things right. And the defense isn't the problem. Not having Trey White has not been the problem or the result difference in a lot of these games.
Hey guys, Cover One is excited to announce our new partnership with BetUS. BetUS has a live wagering on all major games, the best betting variety in the business, and an easy deposit and withdrawal process with the fastest payouts in the industry. Our loyal Cover One fans get a choice between two exclusive offers, either a 125% sign-up bonus on your first deposit up to $2,500 or a free $50 bet with no deposit required. Just use promo code COVER1 on the links provided in the show description below. BetUS, where the game begins.
So Thomas is here waiting to speak.
What's up, Thomas? Sorry, yeah. I was scrolling Twitter to defend Trey White's honor, so thank you for letting me know.
What's up, Thomas? How's it going, man?
Good. How are you two?
You know, it's Friday. We got only 2 days left until we get to watch the Bills again. Hopefully everyone is staying warm in the Buffalo area and staying safe. How about you?
We didn't get much here in Rochester, so we're doing good. But one thing, I think people need to temper their expectations on Trey White and potentially be prepared that he might not come back this season. Like, I think we seriously need to have a conversation about maybe Trey White doesn't return until 2023. I think that's a real possibility at this point.
What makes you? What makes you say that?
Well, from a guy that's torn his ACL in both of his knees, the comeback from an ACL is truly more than just physical.
Sure.
And for a guy like Trey White, who one of the things that his calling card statement is that it means a lot to him. What he's done for McDermott, like in terms of like what he puts on the field, because McDermott trusted him to be his first overall pick, like the first guy he ever chose in the draft, right? So that isn't like for Trey White, who is intense, who cares a lot about his imagery in terms of like how he is viewed in the NFL. I don't think he wants to come back until Trey White knows he's 100% Trey White. But then on top of that, there is a mental part of it where you have to trust your body again and know that the new normal might not be what you did before.
Yeah.
And that's the tough thing for him. And I don't know anything. Obviously, I have no inside sources in terms of what Trey White's going to be doing. But if it's taking this long, there's a serious hang up in terms of his mental side. And they're not going to push a guy that is that important to a team.
I don't think it's taking this long, though. He tore his ACL on Thanksgiving, so he's still under a year technically. The angst is fan-based, I think, mostly. That, like, even the case with Josh Allen, like, we're lucky that he's able to play, but that sprain could have lingered into a 3-week thing, and that feels so long during the football season. But the difference of Trey White coming back 3 weeks before his injury was suffered or 2 to 3 weeks after his injury was suffered is still within the margin of error in terms of like medical recovery. So the expectation that he needed to be back just because he was available to be back early doesn't necessarily match up with how human bodies work. And so maybe there's a chance of the season. I haven't really wanted to put that kind of thought out in the world personally, because I do think he'll be able to come back at some point this year. But I think December is fine for me, even if it ramps into, just a couple weeks before the playoffs. I would take a whatever percent Trey White back, obviously. I guess I never thought that it could linger into the year. I think if it goes that he's going for the year, I think that may create some opportunities for frustration, definitely in the fan base. And I think there's sort of a business decision behind there that he's got to sort of work out for himself, right? Of, is a 80% me that valuable to the Super Bowl run of the team that I'm for? Or, do I wait it out and be 100%? Like Jordan Poyer's making that decision today, right?
Oh, for sure. But I think there's a very big difference between what Jordan Poyer's injury is and what Trey White's injury is, right? I mean, I think you could probably elongate your career even with the injury Jordan Poyer has over the injury Trey White has. Like, if Trey White destroys his knee, his career's over in an instant. Whereas Jordan Poyer's injury, he can have surgery, be back in 6 months, and I think even if he didn't have the surgery immediately, he could still probably play through it.
Right. But what we know right now of what we know of Trey White's right now is, from a medical standpoint, he's not at a higher risk of injury. Which I'm not going to attack him for not getting ready, because I think the risk to injury becomes risk of injury to other things, making up for not having the confidence in that knee, and compensating in ways that cause other issues, muscles, everything's connected. Dawson Knox talked about that, right? When you're recovering from something, everything's connected. And if you overwork one muscle, it changes the way you run, things like that. Those are my concerns on the recovery. I would feel confident if the doctors have signed off on the ACL itself, that wouldn't be a reoccurrence of him coming back to play. It would be, is he sharp enough mentally to not get risk of injury for hesitating or anything like that? Like, because you got to be sharp in football, right? Or you could get hurt.
And it's the same effect of when you tear your ACL, you lose your quad strength, right? So you got to basically retrain your quad to get that.
That's why he's got those like braces, the elastic bands running all the time.
Right. And one of the things that happens when you typically lose that quad strength is one quad being stronger than the other. You can actually end up with massive quads, like cramps, because one is actually working 10 times harder than the other to compensate for the muscles. But yeah, there's a lot that goes on to like the physiology of it, but also the mental side of it. And it's not my feelings aren't that he's not outside the window, right? An ACL injury is 9 to 12 months. Normally it's closer to the 9 to 10 month, but it can elongate all the way to the 12 month, depending. And it just depends on how many ligaments, if it's just ACL or if it's PCL, LCL, any meniscus tears, anything like that.
Right.
I think personally, the reason I say that it could be is when it comes to this point in the season, he's mentally going to think, well, I'm now playing a lot of my games in weather where the field's going to be a lot worse for my knee, in terms of like, I'm not going to have, September field where it's not wet. I don't have to worry about slipping, anything like that. And that's the mental hurdles that he has to get over. Yeah. Because even for myself, right, I tore my ACL. I had surgery this past November. So I'm literally at a year right now. And going into, as a mailman, walking, and I know a mailman is not the NFL athlete, but I'm walking 20 miles a day.
Right.
I've contemplated putting my knee brace on in the winter just for the sake of like that unnerving feeling of me slipping on a step or walking on a painted porch or anything like that. So he's got to get over those mental hurdles, which I think is the biggest thing he's handling right now.
That would be, as much as I love Trey and I will defend him to forever, like those conversations sort of got it. Like, I don't know, then I would have wanted him to be on IR. Because then at this point that the weather's going to be that way, right? So if you're going to have a tough time getting over that anytime in the next month, you got to make that decision. But I don't know. I'm willing to give Trey the benefit of the doubt. I think he knows what he means to the team. And yeah, if he can't clear the mental hurdle and he's not ready, then I still stand by that. And if that takes all year, I think that is what it is. I want Trey White as a long-term member of this team as Josh Allen continues to dominate for 10 years. I want Trey White there with him.
Yeah, and December, I mean, I said before, I think that's why I think December is the key part too, right? Because after Thanksgiving, your next game's New England on a Thursday night in New England, and that's the start of your December AFC East stretch. So to me, I'm not going to deny, like, those were great points. I think he absolutely could not play the rest of the year just for that reason alone. Because I, knock on wood, I'm throwing every good luck charm my way. Haven't experienced that firsthand, so I don't know what that's like, and I'm not going to pretend I do. But what I will say is, if he wants to be 100% ready, I don't blame him at all either way. And I think the discourse still should be positive for Trey because it's not like he wanted this to happen. I'm not saying anyone here said that, just more so the fan course. But for me personally, if I had to look at the situation and say when he's returning, I still think it's December just for that stretch of AFC East teams, especially because New England on the road doesn't really have as many viable receivers that I think are as challenging as Jefferson or later in the stretch when they have to see Jamar Chase. I think Devontae Parker is still very good. Garrett Wilson obviously is a challenge, but to come back against a divisional team on the road against receivers that I think Trey can handle, I think is the idea that they might have. And I think they know their schedule well. So,
anyways, thanks for everyone that hopped in. Appreciate all you guys. Anyone that's in the South Sound, stay safe out there and enjoy the day, guys. Appreciate everybody. Go Bills.
Yeah, go Bills. Stay safe, everyone.